32% possession Spurs had last night, and I thought we only had one way to win under Ange. Welcome back to the Ben Bowman YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. I certainly am. Spurs beat Manchester City 2-1 in the fourth round of the Carabao Cup last night, setting up a quarter-final tie with their Manchester rivals, Manchester United. Are Spurs going to Wembley this season? Hopefully. It was a very gritty performance last night from Spurs, something we haven't seen too much under Ange. We found a way to win ugly. Part of that was down to our defending, but part of that was down to our ability to hurt Manchester City in transition. We scored our first goal like that last night, and I said it in my match preview. Spurs will kill Man City in transition, and the team selection was so important for that. And Ange got it absolutely bang on for me. Obviously, we're going to talk about Mickey van der Ven's injury and how that might harm us, but we've just got to celebrate what was a really gritty and a really good performance from Spurs last night. This is, of course, how we set up. I mean, Manchester City, we knew that they were going to rotate, but that is still a very, very strong side that they put out. The way that they move the ball from side to side, the way that they keep the tempo up, even with, O'Reilly, who I thought was excellent on the pitch last night, James McAtee, Rico Lewis, academy players who can just come in and play straight away. They cause us a lot of problems. But I thought we stood strong and we stood resolute and we won that game deservedly last night. This is, of course, how we set up. It's pretty much how I thought we'd go, except for a doggy coming in for Romero. That's how I thought Spurs would line up. Obviously, a doggy comes on when Van der Ven gets injured. A huge blow. Hopefully, it's not too much of a serious injury. But we saw a really resolute performance from Spurs last night. In this video, we're going to talk about Dejan Kulusevski because, again, man of the match last night. It's becoming quite the occurrence with him, isn't it? We're going to talk about Dominic Solanke. We're going to talk about Timo Werner. We're going to talk about our resolute defending, although there were moments where we put ourselves under pressure. And yeah, let's get going. Let's start with the goal. The first goal, a beautiful sweeping counterattack from Spurs. And this is how I thought we would hurt City. I spoke about it in the match preview about how without Rodri this season, and to be fair, look, Rodri probably wouldn't have played in this game anyway, with the way that Pep Guardiola wanted to manage and rotate his side. We spoke about it in the build-up. City getting hurt in transition against Wolves, against Fulham as well, with those strong, powerful ball carriers. In the likes of Traore with Cunha, and that's exactly what Spurs have got as well. Look, I thought there were moments last night where Spurs put ourselves under unnecessary pressure trying to play out from the back, and I thought there were moments where I was kind of screaming, like your dad in the stands to go long, try and hit Solanke, and there were moments where we did do that, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But it's the risk-reward of playing out from the back, isn't it? And maybe kind of that PTSD is fresh in my mind because of the goal that we conceded against Palace at the weekend. But there were times where we were able to break City's press really, really well, where we were calm, we were composed on the ball. And that's exactly where the first goal came from. There's so much to break down in this goal. Vicario sideways pass to Romero. Gray the option there. I want you to look. Unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to draw on these screenshots, but that will come. That will come as we evolve the content on the channel. I want you to take a look at Kulusevski there next to Gundogan. As soon as Gray gets the ball, look at his movement there. He's off straight away. Kulusevski, who, again, there's so much to pick out from his performance, and we'll get into that shortly. He's a cheat code for this team in transition, playing as that 8. And I actually thought we saw a bit of a different role from him last night. He was almost playing as a second striker at times, helping us in that press, getting up there with Dominic Solanke, who I thought was excellent last night. So selfless again. I know the goals aren't coming for him at the moment, but his overall play for the team is just unbelievable. Look at Kulusevski's movement there. He's off. This is before Gray has even played that ball down the line to Johnson. And by the time he has, he's away from Gundogan. And again, we spoke about it with City in the build-up. That's not the right thing. Bear with. We spoke about City getting hurt in transition in the build-up, and look at the separation that players like Iwobi, etc., were kind of able to create from their midfield counterparts, and that's exactly what we saw with this goal. The way that Kulusevski makes space for himself and gets away from Gundogan, and look at the space he has left, or the way that he's got away from Gundogan by the time that Brennan Johnson flicks it around the corner. It's a lovely touch from Johnson, who I thought had a good game as well last night. Flicks it into Kulusevski, and then Spurs are away. And Timo Werner, that is a great moment for him. It's a great ball from Kulusevski, puts it on a plate. And the difference here with Werner compared to the Alkmaar game was that with this chance, he didn't have time to think. He's under pressure there. It's Rico Lewis trying to kind of slide across to make that last-ditch tackle. And Werner just has to sweep it into the back of the net. Whereas the one against Alkmaar, where he has time to think and ends up back passing it to the goalkeeper, he sweeps it. And look, do I think that this goal is going to change everything for Timo Werner at Spurs? Probably not. I think a lot of people will compare it to Brennan Johnson and say, well, look, it just took one goal for him. I think the difference is with Johnson is that he was clearly playing with the pressure of being a £50 million player on his shoulders, But he always knew that belief was inside him. I think we all knew deep down that Brennan Johnson was going to come good at Spurs on a more consistent basis. Whereas I think with Werner, there's always still that doubt. And look, I really hope I'm wrong, and I really hope it does change everything for him. And I don't want to be negative about Timo Werner, although he missed some chances last night. I thought he had a really good performance, and I think this goal hopefully does change things for him. Gives him that little bit more belief, because it was a big goal in a big game against a top side. But it's a great finish. He puts away with conviction. But we had more chances after that. We kept going. Again, Werner, this one here, Spurs don't necessarily press the ball to win the ball back here. It's sloppy from Gundogan, who's been sloppy since he's been back at Man City. And that's why I thought, kind of going into it, with this midfield, with Gundogan, with those kind of lack of legs in there, as we spoke about, I thought we could really get at the midfield and turn them over on transition. And we did that multiple times. Werner here picks it up again. He's got Kulusevski kind of going around the outside of him. Is that the right pass to play there? But it does properly open up for him. When I was in the ground last night, where I sit in block 509 in the upper west stand. For me, the angle that he created himself didn't look as open as it was here. So I thought he should have played it to Kulusevski, but it really opened up for him. But again, it's poor conviction in the finish. Again, Kulusevski in there, winning the ball back into Solanke. Can Solanke get this into Werner? Maybe, but he decides to go himself. And maybe this is because, look, he hasn't exactly... I think that one of the worrying stats that's kind of come about with Dom Solanke is that he hasn't had a shot on target in his last 6 games for Spurs. And look, the selfless work that he's doing for the team, you won't find a bigger praiser of Dominic Solanke than me. And I think I've kind of had a stick for it at points for how much I've kind of stuck up for him. But for me, the eye test is there. The performances are there. He just needs those goals. And we'll talk about it a little bit later on when we get into some of the chances in the second half, that he will get rewarded for the hard work with easy chances, with tap-ins, with rebounds, like he has scored those 3 goals for Spurs already this season. But you can tell here he just kind of wanted to get a shot off, and maybe he's feeling that pressure a little bit, potentially. But let's come back to the second goal as well, because Pat Matasar, who again was excellent in that first half last night, let's just quickly go through the first goal again, why not, let's watch it again, was excellent for Spurs in that first half. Obviously came on and came off at half-time, and I said it before the game, his legs and that ability to carry the ball in transition will be really key for Spurs. But it's kind of, again, different kind of goal. Spurs being a bit more inventive from set pieces, taking it short. Werner to Kulusevski, grabs his second assist, lays it back for Pat Matasar, who my big head is covering there. And again, I spoke about it with the Werner chance just a second ago. I was quite a little bit deceived by where I sit in the ground. I thought it was a goalkeeping error from Ortega. I kind of thought it just went under him. But when you watch the replay back, my word, the kind of the swaz that Pat Matasar puts on it, and how far he kind of starts it outside of the post, and obviously it goes through a lot of bodies, and Ortega is kind of unsighted. But it's a brilliant finish from Pat Matasar. And again, that's 3 goals, I think, so far this season. 2 in the Europa League and obviously 1 now in the Carabao Cup. He's such a cheat code for Spurs to be able to rotate him and play him off the bench and get him fresh in these kind of games. And he's really got an eye for goal. And it was a brilliant finish from him. And one thing I wanted to pick out as well from this, and we're going to talk about Dejan Kulusevski. Let's talk about him shortly. But look at his kind of body language there and the way he's kind of getting pumped for that goal, right? This is a real leader in this team. He's a real leader. And I think he showed that last night on the pitch. He was absolutely excellent. We'll come to him shortly, but we've got to talk about the City goal. And it comes actually... This was coming. I have to say, I thought we did really well last night and dug in and were really resolute in our defending for the most part. But I thought our game management from about the 35th minute onwards in that first half was actually quite poor. And I thought we were putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure a lot of the time. And that goal was really coming. Look, City, like I said, when you go back to this team that they had, and you look at the momentum they were kind of able to create in that first half and the sustained threat, again, towards... That's probably from what? That's the goal here. Sarr's goal comes on the 25th minute. That's then probably from the 30th. It was all Man City. And again, you're going to have to accept with these players on the pitch that you are going to be put under pressure because you've got Foden, you've got Savinho, who I thought was quality. You've got Mateus Nunes, who's kind of been, a bit like a new signing for City this season. He's kind of really found his feet. O'Reilly, I thought, was superb. McAtee, the composure that these guys have got on the ball. You've got to expect that for periods in the game, you're going to be put under pressure. But I thought we were kind of putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure at these moments. And I think we did better in the second half. There were still a few moments in the second half where we got caught out playing from the back. This one here, it was these kind of little balls here into Pat Matasar. He's got his back to play and no one's really helping him to offer that second pass. and he gets done there. Or actually, he's able to pop the ball off to a doggy there. It's a poor touch from a doggy, and then City are able to win the ball back. This one here, he does win a foul. A little bit fortunate. But it's this one here where Vicario plays the ball into a doggy, and again, in kind of similar position. We get it turned over, and we put ourselves in a dangerous position where Romero has to make that foul. And look, it's the risk-reward playing out from the back, because like you go back to the first goal that we scored, that's how we were able to carve City apart a lot of the time. We were able to play through their press, and we were able to hurt them on the counter-attack by playing through them, as we've seen. But I thought there were moments where we were probably putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure, and then obviously that goal comes from City. And again, I think the reason why people are frustrated with this goal is because I feel like it's a goal we've seen quite a lot in the last few games, like against West Ham. And look, I'm not going to criticise Destiny and Doggy too much for this goal, because for me, Savinho is one of the best 1v1 wingers in the world at this early stage. Honestly, he's like a Mahrez regen. And obviously, it was a shame for him to be stretched off last night. Hopefully, that's not too serious for him, because he's a really bright young talent. Little step over here, feints a Doggy. And a Doggy, he doesn't do too much wrong. Maybe he can commit. Maybe he's scared of fouling him. But again, too many times this season we've been caught out kind of ball watching at the back post. Núñez is in way too much space. And it's something we're going to talk about in some of the chances in the second half as well. Gray, who I thought struggled defensively. But it's not just him that's guilty of it. I think Porro gets sucked in way too often as well. Romero ball watching there, and it comes to Núñez, and that goal kind of felt inevitable. And it was a shame that we had to go into that second half of kind of that sinking feeling of, oh, here we go again, which was a real shame. But the way I thought we rallied in the second half defensively at times with the pressure that City put us under, I thought was really commendable. Second half changes then, obviously. Sarr comes off for Basuma. It goes to more of a kind of double pivot. Obviously, let's take Van der Ven off here as well and put a Doggy on. I thought Basuma, he got booked early on in the second half, but I thought he broke up play really well. I thought Bentancur broke up play a lot of the time really well as well. And Kulusevski kind of moved into more of a second striker role, I thought, in that second half. And let's talk about Deki before we kind of get onto the second half as a whole. I thought he was absolutely magnificent again. These kind of situations here, the way he uses his body, we've talked about it so much this season, being so clever, allowing players like Gundogan to get touch tight to him, driving there to the byline. And again, he's in these kind of positions where he can maybe get a cross in. But again, he uses his body so cleverly there to get away from Gundogan and drags him into the penalty area. On another day, he gets a penalty for that. Again here, another good example, Romero playing out from the back. If I just quickly drag this screenshot along here, look at the position that Kulusevski finds himself in space. Romero acknowledges that, plays the ball into him, allowing Deki to turn. And again, it makes us so dangerous on transition, the little pockets of space that he picks up. Drives forward, and you can see Timo Werner at the bottom of your screen there in space. He plays it out to him. Werner makes a poor decision, and nothing really comes of it. But again, Bentancur, who I thought had a largely very good game last night, just getting in there, breaking up play, does that really well. And Kulusevski just pops it off back to him. And again, look at the position that Spurs find themselves in. We were so dangerous on the counter-attack, but there were so many times where we won the ball back in City's half as well. And again, Bentancur could maybe slip that through to Werner, but he doesn't quite do it. Again here, this is the Solanke chance that we talked about earlier. It's Kulusevski getting in there, bodying Gundogan, winning it off of him. Again, this little combination, playing tight spaces. A Doggy drives down the line, little flip round the corner from Kulusevski, and we're away again. How many times have we seen that this season from Deki? These are the positions that I love that Dejan Kulusevski picks up. James Alcott, the GOAT, did a brilliant video on his YouTube channel talking about Kulusevski's role and why it's so unique. The best thing that we were able to do with Kulusevski is still getting him into these kind of positions where he would be operating as a winger. You can see with the run that Johnson makes there, he wants it, he drives in. But Kulusevski here, with the quality of delivery that he's got from these kind of positions with his left foot, whipping it in, that's such a dangerous position for him to pick up, because you've got Solanke in the box, you've got Werner as well at the back post. With Kulusevski's quality of delivery, you'd back him to pick out one of those, but so much disguise, as always, little ball down the line into Johnson in the channel there. Again here, little combination play with Johnson, is able to open it up really well for Werner. This is the chance where Werner goes on and has that shot where he kind of drags it wide. And then obviously he has this chance for himself. Again, I'll come back to it. I want to go into this chance in a little bit more detail shortly, but again, maybe he should score there. It's a good save from Ortega. But I thought he was absolutely fantastic again, Deki, last night. Absolutely fantastic. But again, second half, Spurs had a lot of chances to kill this game off. And we talk about the kind of risk-reward of playing out from the back. You've got to see a little bit of variance sometimes. Sometimes. I spoke about it after the Palace game, that I think for the most part playing out from the back is how Spurs are going to get their chances, because in players like Romero especially, you've got players who are really able to progress the ball from deep, make those line-breaking passes that we saw with Dejan Kulusevski there for that chance that really opens up the pitch. And when you've got players who are so dangerous in transition, playing out from the back is the way to go for Spurs, for sure. But again, we take our time here. We kind of bait City into the press a little bit, but we decide to go long. And I was screaming in the Palace game because there were so many moments where just hit Solanke. He can bring it down. He can bring other players into play. And we got a chance, like I highlighted in the Palace game, that set Kulusevski away because we went long and we hit him and he won the duel. But here, Solanke finds himself in a really nice pocket of space, pops it off to Werner. Werner drives on. It's not a great pass, but Kulusevski is able to put Ake under pressure there. It comes to Johnson. He has a shot that gets saved. And again, Dominic Solanke is offside here, so if he taps the ball in the back of the net, it wouldn't count. And there were a few sloppy moments with Dom last night where he found himself offside, maybe unnecessarily. But again, I talked about Solanke's kind of selflessness and his hard work. Those are the kind of goals that he will score, just little scrappy rebounds, and that's what we've seen so far this season. And those will come with the chances that we create, the way we kind of do everything and drive everything through our wide players. We need to find him more. He needs to get in the box that little bit more, but he will score a lot of rebound kind of goals this season, little scrappy goals. And I don't mind that, because the hard work and the selfless work that he puts in for the team, he deserves those. He deserves those little scrappy, easy poachers goals. Again, here, under pressure Spurs, this is what I don't like, right? This is what I struggle with a little bit in terms of our defending sometimes. And again, it's kind of where the goal came from. Look at the space that Nunez is in the back post there. If Savinho gets that ball right, Nunez is in. But Gray, good defending. Bentancur here, composure on the edge of the box. Little turn away from Kovacic. Let me just move myself over here. Little turn away from Kovacic. Composure. Into Dom. Again, lovely little scoop ball over the top for Werner. That's Kane-esque in those deep positions. That playmaking ability. And Werner's in. And obviously, he goes on to miss. But I think, look, Werner's missed quite a few one-on-ones for Spurs this season, right? But I don't think, for me, I don't think he's done too much wrong here at all. I wasn't quite able to grab an angle from behind the goal that shows you how close it was. But he's got three players on him, three players with good recovery pace. Gvardiol, Rico Lewis, and I think that's Ruben Diaz maybe. He takes it wide, he opens up the angle, and unfortunately it just goes wide. It's one of those. And this is the chance, again, coming back to the one that Deki had. Ben Davies here. I thought Ben Davies did really well when he came on. A bit of an unsung hero, obviously. He comes on for Christian Romero with Dragusin. And I think Dragusin and Davies deserve a lot of credit last night, because I thought these aren't flashy ball-playing centre-backs. These are players that are going to put their body on the line and commit to defending. I thought Romero did that really well in the first half. I thought it's a shame that he was caught ball watching for the goal, but these are two centre-backs that you know are going to put everything on the line and show a lot of commitment to defending, and I thought they did that really well, so they deserve a lot of credit for that. And Davis here just nips in front of Foden, wins it. Gray, good composure. He was good on the ball, Gray, last night. A little bit sloppy, got caught going the other way, but again, he's a kid. I want to see him play in midfield a little bit more, but I do think he's going to persist with him at right back. But again, as soon as Gray gets the ball here, look at Kulusevski's body language, and then he's away, plays it into Johnson. They can't track the run. He's in behind. And again, he probably should score. But again, look at the position of Solanke. On another day, that rebound comes to him and he gets a little tapping goal. Yeah, we should have put that game probably out of sight. And despite the fact we had only 32% possession in the game, we saw another way to win with Spurs last night. 32% possession, soak it up. City had more, 15 shots, but we still were able to carve out 11. Ortega made 5 saves. Vicario only made 1. You know, they had over double the amount of passes that we had and put us under pressure. But we were able to find a way to win the game, and that's what we've been crying out for under Ange. I want to talk about Solanke quickly again, because there was a real bugbear of mine last night. He got absolutely nothing out of that referee. And look, I'm not one to necessarily come on here and moan about refs and kind of go and say everything's against us, right? But in that first half, his hold-up play was so good, but he was getting penalised so many times for fouls, or he was not getting fouls go his way. And this was in the lead-up to City's goal, actually. That's not a foul there. It's a shoulder-to-shoulder, and he comes away from it, and again, Spurs are away, and then he makes a late decision. It really was winding me up. But again, of course, City had chances of their own where we could have been punished. This is the one from Foden in the first half. This was actually really similar to that chance that Foden had in that game last season. Do you remember at home where he volleys it over the bar. Again, we're actually, I think, in quite a good shape here. It's a good little ball, and you've got to remember the creativity that City have got in this team. Foden kind of shanks it over. But this one at the end, this made me nervous because I thought Spurs dug in really well up until this point. And Basuma deserves a lot of credit for this clearance off the line. But Vicario, I don't know why he came for that. And it puts ourselves in a really dangerous position where all of our good defending work would have been undone. Basuma, it's an excellent clearance off the line. And look at them celebrating that defending. That's what we need to instill in this team. And look, nights like last night where you let City have the ball, you adapt, you hit them on the counter-attack, but ultimately you stick to your principles a lot of the time in terms of playing out from the back, but you defend well as a team and you really dig in and you find another way to win. That is going to build character. That is going to build mentality. That is going to build leadership. I think that was such an important win for Spurs last night because there was pressure building a little bit from certain sections of the fan base and certainly from the media on Postecoglou because Ten Hag's gone. He's going to be that next target. To find a way to dig in and win like that and show commitment to box defending and let City have the ball and hit them on the break and show another way to win, I think is really important because that adversity that we had to go through in that game where, again, you go back to this momentum bar on SofaScore here. City, look how they kind of dominated possession for a long period of time. We had to suffer, but suffering breeds that togetherness that can ultimately change the course of your season and change those things that we've been criticising Spurs for. Look, I want to see us do it on a more consistent basis, really dig in and show fight and show character. But that could be really important for Spurs last night. And I thought we were valued for it. I thought we deserved it. We put ourselves under unnecessary pressure at times. Our game management in that first half, towards the end of it, I thought was questionable. But we killed City on the break and we won the game and we are through. That is the most important thing. You've got to take one game at a time. There's a lot of Premier League teams left in this competition. But we can go and win this. I really hope we can go and win this. We've got Villa at the weekend. There'll be a video on the channel on a Friday or Saturday where we preview that one. Obviously, without Van der Ven, it's going to be a tough task, but I believe that we can win this game. I really think that was a really important moment for Spurs last night. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let me know what you thought of the performance in the comments below, and yeah, up the Spurs. Spurs are on their way to Wembley, hopefully. Nice one, up the Spurs.